Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to episode 5? 6? Hold please. And welcome to episode 7 of Wheel of Doom, Picks My Audiobook. If this is your first time catching this series on my channel, this is basically me gamifying, trying to work through my extensive Libro FM TBR. It's a bookseller for a number of years. I am a social media manager for an indie bookstore, and Libro FM has a very generous, very not lucrative, plentiful ALC program for booksellers, and it's a problem. I mean, it's not a problem, it's great. How many audiobooks I have is a problem. And so I have a little wheel here that we are going to spin and see what my first audiobook is going to be. If you would like to get a closer look at the TBR for this video of all the audiobooks that are going on the wheel, you can check out this video here where I go through them and pick what is staying on the TBR and what I am archiving. This has changed a little bit since that video because the ALCs for October came out in the meantime. And so I believe there are 4 or 5 extra books on here that are new releases, but otherwise everything else is backlist. So to start with, what would I like the wheel to do for me today? How nice do I want it to be? That's a good question. I have a lot of nonfiction on here, which is kind of unusual. There's usually maybe 1 or 2 nonfiction, but there's quite a bit on here. Apparently I've not been listening to my nonfiction as fast as I should have. I would really like to get The Dagger and the Flame because I also have a physical arc of that, and it just came out last week, and I would love to read that because I'm very interested and I think I could really like it. Other than that, I'm not so sure. I think if I get a nonfiction, I'll probably spin twice to have like a fun book to go along my learning book. But let's just spin and we will see what I get. And as always, I hope it's not super long. I love it when I get to start out with a short audiobook. Okay, The Best of Me. I don't remember which one that is. Oh, okay. The Best of Me is by David Sedaris. It's a collection of his various essays from his prolific 25-year career. I've never read David Sedaris, though I know his books are beloved. Like when I was a bookseller, we sold his books all the time. So this will be a really interesting introduction into David Sedaris and what his writing is like. I've heard he's funny, but dark. Do I want to spin again? I think I'll see how this one goes before I do, and I'm not going to do an immediate spin. I'm going to see how this goes, and then I will spin again if I find myself needing extra things to consume, because this also is 13 hours. It might take me a hot minute, so we'll just see how it goes. But anyways, welcome to the video. Welcome to this vlog. I hope this is a really great week of reading. I hope I get through a ton of audiobooks because that would be obviously the best, is if I just cranked out these audiobooks. Okay, and now I'm rambling. So yeah, welcome, and okay, let's just start reading.
Oh no!
I put her in my pocket on that bump. Have that bump. No, that's a no. Alright, and perhaps the quickest turnaround ever, I am going to DNF The Best of Me by David Sedaris. I got 21 minutes in, and this is not my style of humor. This is not the kind of essay, this is just not, I'm just not going to have a good time. I already don't like the first essay, which is like a fictional satire of a man putting out a newsletter about all the homophobic people he encounters in his daily life. And I don't like the tone. I don't like the voice of this like fictional character, or David Sedaris' voice through this fictional character. I found the introduction from David Sedaris of him basically being like, the internet is why people complain more, which, yeah, sure, fine. Like, valid. But came across very whiny and very, how dare people be offended by my work, or how dare people have a negative response to my work. And maybe that's not the intention behind him writing that intro, but I didn't like it. It came across as white man complaining that people give him negative reviews. I didn't like it. So we're going to DNF it because life's too short, which means we also get to archive it, which is great. So I don't have to look at it anymore. And we get to spin again. Let's get on it. Quick spin. I really hope I get The Dagger in the Flame because I really want to read that book. It's sitting right next to my bed. I think I told you that yesterday. Oh, man. Dang it. Okay. Aristotle and Dante is fine. I was really hoping for Vespertine or Incendiary, which are on either side because those are TBR veterans. I've had both of those for so long. But this is the long-awaited sequel. God, I have to remember how to spell Aristotle. There we go. Discover the Secrets to the Universe. Is that book? No, that's book 1. Okay, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe is book 1. I am reading book 2, which is called Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. And it's narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda. So, fingers crossed, we're off to a better start with this book. Alright, I wore hard pants for an hour and a half. It was horrible, but I am in my leggings again. And all is right with the world. I tried to record an update for you all earlier, but it was right after I'd gotten home from my run. And I'm learning my brain is useless after I'm done with the run. Like, I need time to, I don't know, like get everything back online. It was rough. So here's the real update. I am 45% of the way through Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World, ? And it's been so long since I read the first book. I probably could have done with a reread or reading a detailed recap of the book, because I don't really remember when this book is set, when what time these characters are existing in. It feels like it might be in the 80s or early 90s with the way they're talking about gay men and AIDS. It feels dated. So I think it might be set not in the 21st century, but I would have to double check. And they don't ever actually say what year it is, or they haven't so far. But anyways, these two books, this duology, is a YA romance between Aristotle, Ari, and Dante. And I'd forgotten how poetic Benjamin, what's his full name? I'm not doing great for remembering things today. It's not my strong suit. But as I tell my husband, I have to remember like 70 kids' names at work. If I can't remember book details, that's fine. I remember all my students' names. Benjamin Elire Sanes? Ooh, I said it in the audiobook and I've since forgotten. Anyways, I'd forgotten how poetic his writing is. And it's beautiful. But Ari is our narrator, and Ari is a poet, and very introspective and very earnest. You can also kind of be like a smart ass, but I'd forgotten how very earnest the writing is. And sometimes earnest writing really works for me, and sometimes I just can't get into it. And so this book is kind of going back and forth on the scale of sometimes I'm really into it, sometimes I'm like, ooh, that was too much. That was too much for my personal preference of earnest thoughts and feelings. So yeah, so I'm enjoying it. Sometimes I'm rolling my eyes, or not rolling my eyes, but just like, I don't know. It is YA. Like, YA is earnest and angsty sometimes, and that's okay. If I'm in the right mood for it, I can really be into that vibe. And if I'm not really in the mood for it, then it's a little more than I can handle. And this month, I was checking on the cat. It really swings either way for me. But I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is a good narrator for this book. I'm definitely going to finish it because it's easy to listen to. Like, I listened to it on my run today, and it was good company because I had to run for 25 minutes. And it was nice to have an audiobook to focus on instead of how much I was hating my life choices that led to me being on a 25-minute run. So I'm having a real puzzle. What are you doing? October's been rough, y'all. I'm going to say October, it's been good, but it's been rough. I've been stressed. I've been distracted. I've been working a ton because I'm trying to transition to only working Monday through Friday, but I have Saturday classes that I needed to fulfill through the end of the month, and I'm working 6 days a week. I'm also like doing YouTube, and also there's been stressful stuff with my kids, and like he'll be back by the time you see this video, but my husband is currently on a work trip for 5 days, so now I'm solo parenting on top of everything else. It's fine. I would not trade my life for anybody else's, but it's a lot right in this moment, and I'm looking forward to November maybe being a little bit calmer. That'd be great. But anyways, I'm liking the book. It's good. It's reminding me that I really need to get the first book from the library and give it to my child who really loves YA romance, because I think they would probably really like this book and like these two characters. So if nothing else comes out of this but that recommendation for my kid, then I think this is successful. Okay, I'm going to go now because I want to lay on the couch. No, I want to lay on the bed for a little bit longer while my youngest is watching an episode of Gravity Falls. We are having fish and chips for dinner tonight, along with broccoli. So we have a green thing as well. And we've been watching Agatha all along. So we're going to watch another episode of that tonight. And yeah, just looking forward to like all having a really cozy night because we don't have anything to do tonight. So I'm intending to really enjoy it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey friends, happy Tuesday. Let's talk. First of all, I hurt my knee today. I think I sat wrong, and now I wrenched it, and I like to sit with my leg tucked up underneath me most of the time, and wouldn't you know it, that I hurt the knee that I like to tuck up. So I can't do it right now, and I don't like it, and it hurts, and I'm not having a good time. Also, now that I'm done whining, about a month ago, magicmind reached out and asked if I was interested in trying out some of their product. If you've checked out my most recent vlogs, you've probably heard me talk about it. I found my favorite time and like post activity to take magicmind, and it is after I go for a run. I went for a run yesterday. I've been doing a Couch to 5K training program since mid-ish summer, and I'm at the point now where I've done it real slow because I really don't want to get hurt. Yes, I appreciate the irony that my knee is messed up today, but it's not because of the running. It's because I'm 40. But I have found that after I do a 25-minute run without stopping. I run the whole time. And my brain is mush afterwards. Like, I tried to record an update for you all yesterday after my run, and it was a disaster. It did not go well. But I took magicmind yesterday. I had it with my lunch. You saw that B-roll. I'll show you here again. I did like a iced latte situation with some oat milk I had in the fridge, and it was very tasty. It was delicious, and it helped so much with the brain fog. So I'm still really liking it. I'm finding the mental clarity so helpful. I wish I could have that kind of clarity all the time because it's so great when it's there. So just want to check in. I'm still really liking it. I take it most days. I definitely play around with when I take it, but it's been really helpful when I need to focus or when I'm just having like a low attention kind of day. And I'm going to take it now because I'm feeling very fuzzy-headed again, because it's just the state of the world we live in, I feel like. If you're interested in trying magicmind after hearing about my experiences with it, you can go to magicmind.com/emreads and you can use the code emreads20 to save up to 48% off your subscription for the next 10 days. Okay, here's your update. Yes, I have the physical book. Yes, the idea of this series is that I shouldn't need the physical book. I should just be able to read the audio without having the physical for support. But I have not been in an audiobook mood, which is not the vibe to have when I'm doing my audiobook challenge. There we go, that's better. And so I don't love that, but I don't feel like listening to audiobooks. But I don't. But I want to read. I want to read this book. I'm having, like I said, I'm having a really hard time with my focus this month. Mostly I think it is just because I think I've mentioned this already. I've been working more. I've been stressed out. Life has just been super busy because all of the kid activities on top of my activities, on top of my husband's work schedule and his activities. We just got a lot going on. So it's not necessarily bad things. Like, I love my job. I love my classes. It's just October's been a lot. And so I've been tired and I can really feel the exhaustion kicking in this week. And it's my last week of 6 days at work. So I just got to push through a little bit harder. And then I have most of next week off, which will be so great. But I just wanted to be like transparent if I seem low energy in the next, like if I seem low energy in this video, it's just because there's a lot going on and I'm doing my best. But there's only so much I'm capable of. So I did grab the physical just because that's kind of the headspace I'm in right now. And I am still liking it. I'm like 70%, 75% of the way through. I just read physically for a little while. I listened to the audio while I was at the gym and that was good. And then my youngest has to read for 20 minutes a day for homework. And so we've been turning on like a Pomodoro timer on YouTube and sitting on the couch and we read our own books together, but it's been a really nice way to kind of spend time together without it being like a super demanding activity. So I listened to it at the gym and then I read it just now while we were doing our silent reading time, and I think I kind of still feel the way I felt yesterday. So this is set in 1988 and I feel like in the first book we really watch Aristotle and Dante fall in love, if my memory is correct. And in this one, we're watching Ari and Dante, Ari especially because the book's in his POV, really contemplate what life means for them going forward as gay men and as Mexican men in the world, in the reality that exists for them. So this one definitely has some really heavy themes. There's talk of suicide. There is a lot of homophobic language in this as they are as they just navigate their senior year of high school. So I would watch out for that. The slurs are like on the page in the audiobook. So it's hard to listen to. And there's a lot of sad things that happen in this book. And Ari and Dante really have to learn how to support each other and be there for each other. And like what kind of men they want to be. And like I said, I think I said it yesterday, this book can swing very earnest, and sometimes that earnest Yeah, baby. Where was I? Oh, this book is very earnest. And sometimes I think the earnestness is very quotable and poignant and lovely. And other times it feels like a lot. So your mileage may vary depending on your earnestness tolerance, I guess. Anyways, that being said, I'm going to go read some more. We are having breakfast for dinner tonight, which is how you can tell that I've kind of just given up. Once I pull out the pancakes, I've about given up. So I'm going to try and just rest and take it easy tonight, though my middle kid does have ballet, so he do have to play chauffeur, but that's fine. All right. Hopefully when I talk to you tomorrow, I will have finished this book and we'll be able to spin for the next one. Good morning, friends. Not that you can tell that it's morning because it's so dark, but it's morning. I did finish Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World last night, and I'm going to give it a 3.5, sadly. It's, say it with me, it's too long. It's too long. There are parts that felt pretty repetitious. There is something really devastating that happens to Ari in this book, and I think the author milked that situation for longer than was necessary. Like, it was already a really sad circumstance, but it felt so painful. I mean, it is a painful thing, but I don't know. It just, there was a point where I'm like, can we lighten this just a little bit? I also didn't really like the ending, so there was it is a lot. And at more so I didn't like the ending, and the language was just too idealized for me in that the way, not necessarily in the way Ari narrated, but in the way that these characters talk to each other. It was just too idealized. And I think if it was a shorter book, or if it was a book in verse, I could probably like get on board and be okay, but I can't. It was just 500 pages of like language where I was like, people do not talk this way. Teens do not talk this way. Like, can we get some reality into this book that is dealing with very realistic issues? Like, we are talking about the AIDS epidemic. We are talking about racism in the United States. We are talking about violence against queer people in the world. Like, we are dealing with heavy topics, and so to have these really hard, heavy things coupled with this very like idealized, earnest, romanticized way of speaking was just, I don't know, there was like a disconnect that I just couldn't quite jive with. So that's kind of unfortunate, because I remember really, really loving the first book, and I just didn't think this one, I don't think we needed this one. I think the way Ari and Dante's story was left off in the first book was perfect, in my opinion. So, which means now we get to spin again. However, I'm gonna be a cheater McCheaterson, and I'm not gonna spin. And instead, I'm gonna start the audio for the dagger and the flame, because I need some joy. And I think this will bring me joy. Also, I will get it out of the stack of shame that I have next to my bed. So it's a win-win. Fun and less shame for me. It's a great, great combo. So this is a YA romantasy, and I picked it up mostly because it's published by the same publisher who does Margaret Rogerson, who did Sorcery and Thorn, Sorcery of Thorns and Enchantment of Ravens. And I really love both of those books, and I love Margaret Rogerson's writing in general. And so when I saw that it was the same publisher, I was like, oh, this could be a great time. So this takes place in a fictional kingdom called Phantom, and it sounds like it's got kind of like a Gaslamp vibe going on, but there is a type of magic that is controlled by two enemy guilds, the Cloaks and the Daggers, and one is thieves and the other is assassins. And we're following Seraphine, who seeks sanctuary from the Cloaks after her mother is murdered, and then she sets out for revenge against, I'm sure, who she believes killed her mother. And our love interest is Ransom, who is the heir to the Daggers. Like, really? Say less. Is that how you use that phrase? I shouldn't use that phrase. I'm too old to use that. So anyways, I'm very excited. I think this will be a great time. It'll be fun. I don't remember how long the audiobook is, but how long is this? The arc is just shy of 500 pages, but I feel like the print is fairly large, so it could be a quick, fun, fresh, easy read. So that's the plan. Sorry I'm cheating and disregarding the rules that I set forth for myself, but I'm the captain of this ship, and I can change course anytime I want. Good morning, friends. Oh, let me try that again. Hi, friends. Good morning. I did not update you yesterday. I was just trying to make some progress so I could give you like a proper update. And also, kids are home from school yesterday. They're home from school again today. They have like a 4.5 day weekend because we have school conferences, which is great because it makes my life less stressful. It's really amazing what not having to make school lunches does for my mental state. Or not having to make lunches for school. Anyways, I'm feeling better. I cried yesterday, so I think that really helped. My youngest is up to something. I'm not sure what, but I'm just gonna let it go for now. I think I'll only intervene if it sounds like it. Oh my gosh, I need to wash my bangs. Okay. Anyways, I am 131 pages in The Dagger and the Flame, and it is a fun time so far. It is a very easy reading time so far. We start with kind of what I said based on the back. Seraphine is fleeing into the city of Phantom because she has found her mother and their farmhouse that they live in burned. And so she knows, based on the way her mother's body appears, that it is the work of the Daggers, which are the assassin guild in the city. And so she flees to the headquarters of the Cloaks, which are the thieves. And Sarah's mother was a smuggler because in this world there is a type of magical substance called shade, and it's derived from a plant called bone shade. And long ago, people found a way to break down bone shade and alter it to make it magical. And so when people take it, it makes them stronger, faster, more powerful. But of course, it will eventually kill anybody who uses it over a long period of time. It was reminding me of something from a movie, and now I can't remember which one it was. I don't know if I actually did remember, but it's like ringing a bell in my head, and I just haven't found like what the bell is connected to yet. I will say, as much as I'm having a great time, I'm having so much fun. I'm really loving the world building, but every aspect of this book is reminding me of something from a different IP. So like Sarah going to the Cloaks and being taken in and like training to be a thief, the way she's meeting the other people that are there and the friendships that she's building and the relationships that she's building are reminding me a lot of the first Clockwork book by Cassandra Clare. Is it Clockwork Prince? Is that the first book? Anyways, when Tessa first comes to the Shadowhunters, and not exactly the same. Like, the dynamics are different, obviously, and the characters are are different, but just the way that community is introduced and brought in reminded me a lot of that. And then obviously there's the thing with the shade, which is reminding me of something that I've watched before, but I'm really liking it. So we're following Sarah, and then we're also getting Ransom's point of view, and Ransom works for the Daggers, so he is an assassin, and of course he is the one who is hunting Sarah because of something her mother did as a smuggler of shade. So we got some mystery, we've got a very slow burn romance. I don't know if it's billed as enemies to lovers or maybe just rivals. It's our landscapers just got here. Okay, anyways, I'll wrap this up and tell you more later, but Ransom very much does not want to hurt her, so I'll tell you more later. Okay, bye. Okay, that was not how I saw that particular interaction between Ransom and Sarah going. That was interesting. Got a reveal. Or, like, maybe not a full reveal, but anyways, things happened. And it did not go how I thought. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading, but yeah, okay. It's chapter 11. Chapter 11 is just very interesting. Okay. Never mind what I said earlier. This is heavily enemies. As in, he just said, I'm going to effing unalive you, if you will. So yeah, they are both out for blood, and it's great. I'm having a great time. I have a report back later. This is such a cute angle. You're welcome. Okay, why am I like this? I just read this part where Ransom is spying on Seraphine. We'll get into whether or not it's creepy later. Actually, we won't. I don't want to talk about whether or not it's creepy. I just want to enjoy him being a lurker. Anyways, he's watching her have a conversation with somebody else, and like a conversation we just saw in the previous chapter, and he is not liking watching her have this conversation with this other person, and he thinks threatening Seraphine was his job. Why does that do anything for me? Why do I like that? Why does it matter with me? What did I imprint on as a baby teen that made me like that dynamic so much? I don't know. But I like it a lot, and I'm having so much fun. Today's kind of been a shit day. I woke up feeling a lot better than I was earlier this week. Mentally, I am in a better place than I was a few days ago. However, my children were conspiring to bring me down because they would not stop fighting and bickering. And it's very hard to maintain positive attitude when everyone around you is just sniping at each other. But luckily, they were all invited to a birthday party, and I dropped them off and I have a little time to myself before I go teach. And also, I had forgotten that this book was coming out. I knew it was coming out, but I'd forgotten because I hadn't pre-ordered it. And then I remembered and I ordered it, and I got to pick it up today from my indie bookstore. And it's Metal from Heaven by August Clark. August Clark also writes under H.A. Clark and wrote the Scrape Gracers trilogy, which is a YA witchy, contemporary. I always kind of compare it to The Craft, even though I've never seen The Craft, but it seems like the vibes are similar. It's also super duper queer, and I love that trilogy. It's great. It's very feral. The main character is feral. I think the writing is also kind of feral, and I absolutely dig it. This is August's adult debut, and I'm so excited to read it. It's also got some great blurbs on it, like from other authors. Alex E. Harrow's on the front. And Alex E. Harrow I have like mixed success with, but I think she and I have similar taste in books because she's blurbed a bunch of my favorites. She said, pulpy, bloody, sexy, gleefully seditious, and seditiously gleeful, a battle cry. I'm so excited. I've heard it's sapphic and like be gay, do crime. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So anyways, yeah, this is out in the world. I'm so pumped. I can't wait to just dive in here with my whole self and just have a really fun gay time with it. But to do that, I need to continue to make progress with this. And I think I'm about halfway now. So we're making good progress. Not as fast as I would like, but yeah, 500 pages is a lot of books, so it's also not unreasonable, the amount of time that I think it's taking me to read it. It's 500 pages. That's a big book. It's going to take me a little bit longer. Hey friends, I finished The Dagger and the Flame, and what am I rating this? I think I'm gonna give it a 4. This was fun, and it was very quick paced, and I liked it a lot. There are some things I didn't like. There are some plot points that felt very predictable. I also, and maybe this is like a conversation for another time, but this is YA. And the publisher, because I have the ARC, says this is for ages 4 and up. 4 and up. Oh my God, could you imagine? 14 and up. But this got really steamy a couple times. Now, there's not a lot of steamy scenes, obviously, because like the stakes are really high. These two don't have time to be just like smooching all over the place. But the couple of times they did smooch, it got steamy. And was reading like adult steamy scenes, not like YA, like implied steamy scenes, if that makes sense. So I've been noticing this trend in YA fantasy, especially, or romantasy especially, and I'm sure there are other people talking about this too, but I feel like YA has steadily been getting steamier. And on the one hand, like at 14 and 15, I was reading adult romances that were very steamy and very explicit, but like I went out of the YA section to find those books. Like I went into the adult romance section at my local library to find those books, and so I just don't know about having books that do get explicitly steamy, about having them in YA, because yeah, some kids are going to be like, and teens are going to be totally okay with it, and they're going to want that steam and that content, but then there are other kids who don't want that in their books. And so I feel like if it's YA, it shouldn't get explicit. It should stay fairly, not tame, but like, I don't know, like the suggestion of what is happening or the hint of what is happening, not, anyways. I just feel like that YA should be if it's shelved in YA, it should be safe for like kids to pick up no matter what their comfort level is in taking in spicy scenes. And I feel like this is shelved in YA, but I feel like it was written for adults. Like I feel like this should be like, even though Sarah is 17, like based on Steam alone, this should be an adult. Or like, even though new adult isn't technically like an age category, like I would say it's new adult as my opinion. So it's not a new favorite. It's definitely book 1 in a series, in case, there is some confusion. I was worried that it was going to be a total cliffhanger and that Catherine Doyle wasn't going to wrap up anything, but was just going to like end the book. And I wasn't wanting that. So I liked that she did. She didn't wrap everything up, but it was a satisfying ending, and it makes me interested in what is going to happen next, but it doesn't have that pain of a cliffhanger ending. Again, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think a 4-star is good. I do think it's interesting. I think I'll have to double check, but I think Catherine Doyle primarily writes middle grade as far as I know. I don't think this is her YA debut, but let me look. Okay, so what I know her name from is The Stormkeeper's Island, which is middle grade. I guess she has had some YA stuff in the past, but it looks like most of her stuff is middle grade. And yeah, I just find it interesting that I don't know why it's just not like adult fantasy if it's going to be steamy. Anyways, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear what you think of YA fantasy slowly getting steamier and steamier. So yeah, let me know what you think if you have any thoughts about it, because I definitely think it's a conversation worth having. So I've already cheated. And technically it's Saturday, by the way. I wanted this vlog to end tomorrow. So I could try to squeeze in one more book. I'm going to have to totally abandon the wheel, but that's fine because we already did that earlier. So I could read Remember Us by Jacqueline Woodson, which is just under 3 hours. And this is a realistic chapter book. It's middle grade. It could be a good time. However, the one I'm leaning towards is We Do Not Welcome Our 10-Year-Old Overlord by Garth Nix. This just came out, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. It's just under 5 hours. I love Garth Nix. His Sabriel series. I read Sabriel when I was 12 or 13, and it is like one of my favorite things ever. And I've read almost all of his books, and I really like him. And this sounds like it's kind of a spooky season book, so this might be a good time. So I think I'm going to download it, and we're going to see if I can bust it out in one day tomorrow. I feel like I'm really taunting fate, but we're going to try, because I don't want to end at 2 read books in one DNF. So we're going to try and squeeze this in tomorrow. I hope it's good, because again, I love Garth Nix. Happy Sunday. I don't know why I did Richard Nixon fingers. Let's pretend that didn't happen. My twins are rocking out to music, so hopefully it's not too loud. Hopefully this microphone does not pick that up. That would be ideal. But I read We Do Not Welcome Our 10-Year-Old Overlord by Garth Nix in one sitting this morning. So I already finished it. It was great. Reading it in one sitting was great, but let's talk about it. So this takes place in a small town in Australia, and it's a town that actually exists, but not quite the way Garth Nix imagines it. This is set in 1975, and it's really, I feel like, a little bit of a love letter from Garth Nix to his childhood and to playing D&D as a kid. So D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, plays a huge component in this story, which was really fun. I really liked that element. I think if I had read this from any other author, I would be giving it a higher rating, but because it's Garth Nix, it's an author that I have a lot of history with because I started reading him when I was 12 and have grown up like into adulthood reading him, and as an adult have read him, and he's published such a wide range of ideas and projects. And so I've read his middle grade before, and obviously he mostly publishes YA, and this just kind of fell flat for what my expectations are from him. So the setup is Kim and his sister Isla live on this experimental farm with their parents. And so the farm is owned by the Australian government, and his parents work on the farm. And then their best friends are Benny and, oh, what's Benny's sister's name? I don't remember Benny's sister's name, but Benny and Kim are both 12, and Benny's sister and Isla are both 10. And they're best friends. They hang out together all the time. And they're walking along the lake one day, and they see something in the water, under the water, that looks like a human head. And then they all freak out, and Kim goes in to get it, and it turns out that it's like this orb thing with that had gotten like not seaweed, but like underwater grass stuck on it. And he picks up the orb and immediately hears this voice in his head asking him to let them in. And Kim's like, no, absolutely not. And manages to let go of the orb. And then his sister Isla picks it up and takes it home. And then Isla slowly begins to behave in unusual ways. And I don't think, how much is on the back? Anyways, it's sci-fi. I'm not sure how much is on the back, so I'm not sure how much to tell you, but it's sci-fi. There is an extraterrestrial component. It is very tense, action-packed. It's kind of spooky with the things Isla is doing. Where it kind of fell flat for me is I felt like there wasn't a good balance of the D&D component with the actual plot. There were times where I felt like Garth Nix kind of forgot what he was writing, and the D&D campaign that Kim is playing with his friends kind of took over. But these characters can also be really frustrating at times, especially Isla. The way she behaved was very frustrating, and it was so hard to tell how much of it was her personality and how much of it was her relationship with this orb and how that was starting to affect her behavior. And then the parents for both sets of siblings are the worst. The worst. I disliked both of them so much. They're not in the book a whole lot. It's more the way that they're talked about by the kids. And then I felt like the ending I did not like the ending. I did not care for the explanation of why all this stuff had happened. Are you crooked? My camera says no, but I feel like yes. Anyways, so I ended up giving it a 3.75 because it was a quick read. It was an easy read. I felt compelled to turn the pages. I really wanted to know what was going to happen, but it didn't quite level up to what I expect from Garth Nix in his writing, which is really disappointing for me. But I think this is still a good time. I think it's still worth your time, especially if you haven't read Garth Nix before. Like maybe you would have more of a fun time with it. I think if you have a younger reader, like a middle grade reader in your life who doesn't really want to read a scary book, but maybe want something that's kind of like seasonally appropriate, though I don't think kids really care about that the same way we do, but I don't know. It could be there. It could be fun. It could be a good time. So with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Wheel of Doom, even though the wheel didn't really come into play hardly at all during this particular episode, but that's okay. As much as I enjoy the wheel, I'm really glad that I disregarded it and read two things that I have been anticipating and was really excited to get to. Yeah, we're going to head to, let's see, this is going to come out in November, like the beginning of November. So we'll do one more episode of Wheel of Doom in December, and then that will probably wrap up this iteration of this kind of project. And I'm going to try and come up with something new and different, a different way to tackle my Libro TBR. If you have any ideas, I would love to hear them down below. And if you have read any of these books and you want to talk about them, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I love when you leave comments. It makes me so happy. Like, seriously, it makes my day. So thank you so much if you've ever commented on one of my videos. Like, honestly, it just means the world for me. And also, thank you to Magic Mind for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out Magic Mind for yourself, I have the link down in my description box. You can also just go to magicmind.com/emreads and use my code emreads20, and that will save you up to 48% off your subscription of Magic Mind in the next 10 days. So thank you so much for watching, my friends, and spending your precious time with me. If you want to leave an emoji to let me know you are here, let's do a flame emoji for the dagger and the flame. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye!